If you want to grab our men's lifestyle supplement and male advantage ebook, all links are in the bio. Like, there's a lot of women that will be happy because they bought a new pair of jeans and they fit perfectly and make that ass look really nice. You know, or they found a new shade of lipstick and they went and got their hair done. They're like, today was a good day. It's a hot girl summer. That's not all what women are about. Of course not. This isn't a channel that hates women, and I'll never promote that. But there's plenty of women that are happy if they look good. You know, whereas a man, you can look good, but you're broke. You can't pay these bills. You don't own that fucking Ferrari. You don't own that penthouse that other guy owns and he's banging the girl that you like. Like, we have all these fucking problems. It's very, very difficult to overcome. Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video, I want to talk about the maturity gap between men and women, okay? Now, in the early days, it's undeniable. Women are more mature than men. Like, you look at any kids at school, the girls are so far beyond what the men are, okay? Or the boys are, if you would. All the way up to, from like day one till about the age of 18, you know, women are much more advanced. It's the same at university. That gap begins to close, you know, as you go through your 20s, etc. But you get to your late 20s, which I'm in now, 28. You know, in early 30s, I've seen a lot of guys in their 30s in general, to be honest, up to about the age of 40. And the gap between maturity with men and women is enormous, but the other way around. So men become more mature than women. They start to really take over. And this is a massive component within the male advantage, you know, that I always talk about, the ebook that's titled, as you saw at the start. It's what a lot of this is about. And it's kind of something I never really touched on, but the maturity aspects that in the early days, like I said, women have that maturity in their own sense. You know, they're more focused on things like marriage, kids, mortgage, etc., those sort of things, which personally don't make somebody mature, in my opinion. But it's way more mature than just playing football, video games. You know, boys are like 6 years old and they're like jumping into the mud or a hedge or like running through like a stream or something, you know. And that's fun, but the girls are like, oh no, I want to go home and read a book. Like, you can see there's like a clear, defined gap between the two in terms of perceived maturity based on what you use as your barometer. But here's the thing about a tough male life, okay, is that it defines you. It creates character. And you look at a female life and it is very easy. I mean, in the early days especially. I've told you guys about this before, okay? A girl can get to 18, no life experience, never step foot in a gym, you know, no job experience, she, you know, no qualifications, so to speak, not the most intelligent, zero motivation or passion for life, like lies in bed all weekend, just eating shit, just junk food and watching Netflix. She can end up with a millionaire. She could end up with a billionaire if she's hot enough. You know, and as I said, never step foot in a gym, but she can have the best body anybody's ever seen, just based off bone structure and whatever, and high metabolism when she's young. You know, that's not her fault. At the end of the day, it's not her fault. You know, there's plenty of guys like that just, you know, suffer. But there's plenty of girls that have this terrible kind of habit structure or habitual structure, if you would, yet their life is perfect. Like, they couldn't change it. Now imagine what that does to your brain, guys. Imagine what that does to you on a maturity scale, or learning from your mistakes or something like that. You know, that's not good. That's like being a rich kid. That's like being Richard Branson's son or something. I'm not calling out Richard Branson's son. I'm just saying, if like a billionaire's son, that's very hard, you know, because you don't understand paying bills or never having a cleaner, having to do that yourself. Oh, what, you cook? I've had a chef since I was 2 years old. Like, you don't understand certain things, and you don't grow as a person. You know, when somebody's been through a lot of shit, they're very relatable. Like, I remember before, in the early days, I just went straight into starting businesses. Then I was like, shit, I'm going to have to get some more money. I went and worked in factories, etc. I worked in a bunch of finance jobs, kind of lived the 9-to-5 grind. You know, I had a real tough life for a little while. And life was tough before that, but for different reasons. But I had that kind of 9-to-5 grind. Those years have allowed me to become very relatable on camera. When I talk to you guys and I say, You know, you get these motivational speakers that are like, just do it, bro, just get out there and do it. Whereas I'm like, yeah, but you've got a 9 to 5 job to go to. You might not have an hour to go in the gym. You might have 20 minutes. You know, I appreciate that because I've been in that scenario. I'm very empathetic towards an everyday man, you know, who's got an everyday life, hence the male lifestyle supplement and how it tackles all areas of life. You know, I'm very, very entwined with that. But the one thing I wanted to touch on was the other side of the coin for men. Okay, a man can be 18 years old, he can be spotty, awkward, life's just not going too well. You know, nobody's going to come over with a handout. If a man is feeling down and negative and just, you know, things are not going well, and people are like, how you doing? You know, he can't sit there and explain that. He'll sit there and just be like, yeah, it's okay, it's cool, I guess. Yeah, you know, I'm just getting on with it. And even if he said things weren't going well, nobody truly gives a shit. You know, a woman, if she's not doing well in life, that a man will put his arm around her and be like, I'll take care of you. I'll sort you out. Come live with me. You know, that sort of thing. I'll take you on some dates. It's kind of damsel in distress. I'll look after you. I'll bring you up in life. Like, guys love doing that shit. It's like a dominance thing. You know, I've always thought I don't want to be necessarily with a woman that's super successful. You know, I don't think it's quite nice to kind of have that power dynamic. I don't know what it is, but, you know, you're massively successful. Maybe you change someone's life. You know, that resonates somewhat with me as a man. It's not... You know, I'm not against not doing that, but it's definitely something at the back of my mind where I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. You know, it's as a man, as a masculine role, you know, fulfilling that purpose of like helping or providing, you know, there's something in that. But the one thing that this creates is a maturity gap, because if you're getting everything handed to you on a plate, even though you're doing nothing right, so if you're doing all of the worst things, but you're getting good feedback, it doesn't help. It's not a good habit loop, is it? You know, it's feeding back. It's saying, okay, it's fine. Just crack on. Do what you are doing. Well, that's what happens to a lot of women. Is they get to a maturity level where, you know, they're much higher than the men, and the men are kind of chasing them, and the men look like little boys in their eyes. But a lot of women, once they get to 18, 21, they never evolve. They never go to that next stage because, like I said, it's not their fault. Things are great. You don't evolve when things are going well. We all know that. When things go wrong, you learn, you evolve, you look within, you search for new answers. This is what happens to men. And like I said, spotty, awkward, poor. Like there's a lot of women that will be happy because they bought a new pair of jeans and they fit perfectly and make that arse look really nice. You know, or they found a new shade of lipstick and they went and got their hair done. They're like, today was a good day. It's a hot girl summer. That's not all what women are about. Of course not. This isn't a channel that hates women, and I'll never promote that. But there's plenty of women that are happy if they look good. You know, whereas a man, you can look good, but you're broke. You can't pay these bills. You don't own that fucking Ferrari. You don't own that penthouse that other guy owns, and he's banging the girl that you like. Like, we have all these fucking problems. It's very, very difficult to overcome. And you start to get defined. It's almost like a stone in a quick flowing river. Okay, you just land as this like rough boulder, and over time it starts to slice you up and like mold something smooth and beautiful. And that's what happens to men. You just get cut to pieces. You know, you go to a job and you're the novice. Everyone's laughing at you. You're making mistakes and your money's shit, and you've got to use that money to somehow get by. And at the end of the month, you've got £100 left, and you use that for shopping, and then you might have to borrow 50, and then you have to pay that 50 back, and you're just learning all these lessons along the way. And that's not to say that women won't do that, but they have other means. Okay, it's like OnlyFans, etc. That's an extreme example, but as a woman, you always have a chance that you're going to be with the boyfriend, and he's going to fund something. He's going to let you move in with him. Life's going to be easier. As a man, when things are going badly, nobody wants you. It's very hard, and the person who wants you usually isn't set up perfectly to fund you. You know, you're not as a man going to have a woman sneak in and be like, okay, I'm going to give you $3,000 a month, you know, to sleep with me. You know, as a woman, things like that are plausible. They happen, or just, you know, and even in relationships, that's an agreement that happens a lot. There's a guy who's 28 years old, his life's sorted out. Girl who's 21, life isn't going that well. They get together. He kind of pays for the majority of the things until she's on her feet. In reality, it's kind of prostitution. He's kind of paying for sex, you know, she's taking the money off him for a better life, and the relationship kind of gets along that way. It's a glorified relationship, okay? But as a man, you're not getting that. Not getting that handout. You know, you're going to catch shit. A woman isn't going to get rejected at 18 very often. Not very often at all. You know, at worst, somebody's gonna sleep with her and then never see her again. You know, but she's gonna get to sleep with that person, whatever, get some attention. If that guy goes and says, I never want to talk to her again, or just leaves in the morning, just sleeps with her and runs, she's still got another 50 guys in her phone book. You know, she's got another 20 guys messaging her. She uploads a picture of her looking hot with some cleavage, 600 likes, 40 comments. You know, there's 20 people in her DMs by that night. There's always ways and means, you know, to boost your confidence. As a man, you're not getting that. As a man, you're going to struggle day in, day out. You're going to go to that 9-to-5 job. You're going to struggle. You're going to work long hours to build your way up to a position where you can be taken seriously, where you can get the kind of money that you need to buy the assets that, again, make you look like a man. You're going to be in that gym every day, 6 days a week, in the morning, all night, crafting out some sort of body on a budget with rice and beans and potatoes and stuff like that, like cheap foods that you can bulk with, you know, build up a decent frame. You're buying like cheap supplements and stuff, like I used to buy a cheap mass gainer just because it was you know, I knew that would boost my calories somehow, make you a little bit bloated, you know, because you can't afford the organic one. Like this, just nothing's good. You know, that £50 that you have at the end of the month, you take a girl out on a date, you got to keep within budget, and you're constantly thinking at the back of your head. So like, we have to navigate constantly in all areas of life. Like I said, in the workplace, with women, in the gym, whatever. Like we're growing into our male advantage. We're not given the keys to a Ferrari at 18, which I've heard a woman describe female life as being like given the keys to a Ferrari when you turn 18, that sort of thing. Very good metaphor. You know, you're just going through your life, you're a little bit unaware. Keys to a Ferrari, oh, what does this do? If I put on a tight red dress, what does that do? You know, if I have a bit of cleavage and push my boobs together, what does that do? You know, if I put on lipstick and makeup and do my hair like this, what does that do? They have that ability. You know, and it's like these gifts that you've been given. It's almost like a man getting to 18 and somebody going, here's 10 million, enjoy. Wouldn't be a good person, would you? Be an absolute shit show. I know for a fact I probably would be dead now if I had that kind of money. I wouldn't know what to do with it. But by going through the shit, going through this turmoil that we've all had to go through as men, we become very defined. We build character. We get that grit. We get that toughness. We have what they call theory of mind, which is very much like empathy and emotional intelligence towards other people. You know, we appreciate. When we were 18, we thought we were the best thing since, you know, we thought our shit didn't stink. We thought we were the best thing since sliced bread. You get to like 28 and you start going, yeah, I've got flaws. Okay, things aren't going well. You know, I've been broke. I've been this. I've been that. You know, this isn't going well. That hasn't gone well. I've been rejected 2 million times in my life. Like, you bring it all together and you become a little bit more empathetic. You become a nicer person to be around. There's not many men. I'm telling you this now. There's not many men. There's a lot of guys at 18 that I didn't like. There's not many men at 28 that I don't like. Okay, most guys that you meet, I'm just talking about experience at my age. I'm sure, like, there's older guys that are in their 30s and 40s and 50s. I don't know any of them that I dislike. Like, when I was young, I used to get on so well with the guys that were like 30 and 40 because they're very hard to dislike. You know, they're very humble. They've been humbled. But I knew them when they were young. They were cocky. They were stupid. They were, you know, but they've been refined. Like I said, that river has just sliced through them day by day. And they've been humbled. They've realized that you've got bills to pay. A few of them have been through divorces. Like, men have got a much tougher life than society want you to think, okay? It's a man's world, you know? Especially when people say stuff like, oh, if you're a white man, oh, life's easy. Yeah, well, maybe for the rich guys. You try and be a poor white man. Fuck, is that hard? There's no grants, there's no special schools where it's like only black people, those sort of schools. The only handout for poor white guys is the military. You know, and we have this scenario as a whole with men. You know, it's like, oh, you're a man, you'll be fine. It's very fucking difficult. It's very fucking difficult. You know, if you look at the finished product, a man who's 40, yeah, maybe. Okay, maybe. You know, it's a little bit easier then. But guys, for the first 10 years is a massive struggle. Like 18 to like kind of 28, 30, around that range, 10 to 12 years when you're in adult format, so to speak, right? Very tough. Very, very difficult. But it makes us into who we are when we get older. And it creates this gigantic maturity gap. Okay, gigantic maturity gap. And I believe this is what massively contributes to the male advantage on such a grand scale, where A 28-year-old man and a 28-year-old woman are worlds apart. Worlds apart. Completely different, okay? It's not even close. A 28-year-old man has been through so much shit, whereas a 28-year-old woman has never known anything but, for maybe 14, 15 years, sadly, because, you know, obviously she was underage. That's the sad part about this. But she's never known anything but male attention, female jealousy, you know, top tier living, invited to all the top parties, most beautiful woman in the room, you know, do whatever she wants to do, wear whatever you want to wear, and people are all over you. You know, she's never known anything but attention, desire. She doesn't get told she's doing many things wrong. Probably 2 or 3 promotions in there because the boss wants to secretly fuck her. You see this a lot. I've seen this a lot in offices, okay? That's all she's ever known. So she gets to 28, thinking she's mature, she's got money, etc. She starts talking about kids, mortgage, marriage, etc. She doesn't know what it all means. She wants it, but she doesn't know what it all means, okay? This is like a lot of people. A lot of guys do reach this scenario too in this world because it is getting easier to survive and live, you know, if you've got rich parents especially. But they don't understand what comes with that. You know, the maturity level you need to have to be at that level to have those 3 things, or that there's other components in life that are far more important than those things, you know, like just being stable, just being financially stable, and just having empathy, just having the real world knowledge of just what actually goes on, and just being hyper aware, you know, just having those sort of traits and whatever. They're so much more important than having kids, getting a mortgage, getting married, etc. If you can tick those other boxes first, those 3 things are like a bonus. You just do them as part of your like daily task list or yearly task list. It doesn't become like a big issue for you. But you get these girls that are like 28 that are like, I'm mature, I'm in a great position, I have a great job. It's like, a job's not that hard, okay? You just go into a job, you just get that money, you get paid every month. Just don't fuck up and you'll be all right. It's very easy to survive. But there's so many guys that by 28, they've probably tried to start a business. They've probably gone traveling. They've probably been rejected a million times. Probably gone through some like hard breakups, as women have, but it's much harder for a man. Because as soon as you finish that breakup, she can go and sleep with anybody in the world, pretty much, within reason. You know, she can sleep with somebody that night. Guys will go, yeah, sure, I'll be there in 10. For that guy, it's very hard to then bounce back, you know. So for men, it's like a realization exercise where you sit there and go, you know, she is shitting on me. She's got so much more value than me. I'm going to have to learn from this and grow. I'm going to have to go to the next level just to compensate and do what she's been able to do. And there's so many experiences that men will have in that time frame that women just... And again, it's not their fault. I don't want to shit on women. That's not what this channel's about. I just lay out the truths. But women naturally will just not have that experience. And that is why around about 28 until around about 40... there's this kind of replacement daddy scenario where so many women are looking for dad version 2 because these men have become defined, refined, whatever you want to call it, and they've got to a point in their lives where they've done a lot of things where, you know, those guys that you can just ask a question like, oh, can you change the tire? Yeah, sure. You know, oh, how do we get to there? Oh, this way, this way, this way. They've driven on every road imaginable. Do you know what I mean? Just that kind of real life male experience where you used to look to your dad and be like, how does he know this shit? You know, a lot of men, because they've been through so much and they've been tested, they've been through the rite of passage, as so to speak. That's, you know, we've got tribes in the world that have a rite of passage and whatnot, which I'm going to do a documentary on. It's going to be so much fun. It was Steve, who you've seen on here, Steve Walker. It was his idea. So I'll compensate him on that. I'll put him as an executive producer, whatever, and compensate him. I'm very fair. I obviously showed you guys that video before where you've all got an opportunity to get a percentage in shows if you come up with ideas. Keep sending them through. I'll maybe link that at the end so you guys can see what I mean and send some ideas through. But the rite of passage for us in the westernized world or the modern era, whatever it, you know, wherever you may be in the world, with society being the way it is, it's more of a... Instead of like, I think it was the Agogo for like the 300 warriors, the Spartan warriors, that took like a week. For men now, it's very much like everything else that you go through over a 10, 12 year period. Once you've been through that, you're a real man. I think of myself in the last month or so, watching my dad die and having to deal with wills and funerals and ex-partners and houses and stuff like that. And, you know, meet the estate agents for evaluation. At 21, I wouldn't have known how to do any of this. you know, but going to certain jobs and getting that experience and meeting certain people, having conversations that you've never had before, maturing down the line. It's put me in a scenario now at 28 where I would be much more valuable to a female partner than I was at 21 when I was probably, you know, pretty boy good looking. But a woman would look at the two and be like, oh, definitely the 28-year-old guy because he's more defined. You know, that's a real man. That's somebody you can build with. That's somebody I can look up to. That's somebody I can ask questions to. Somebody I can depend on. He's been through shit. He's not going to crack under pressure because he's lost his best friend at 18. He's lost his dad. He's been through this. He's been in his overdraft, you know, and had debts and taken loans and paid them off. Like, you've been through so much shit. You get to a point where like, I went through all that and I came through the other side and I'm a better person because of it. And granted, yeah, women can lose, you know, their dad or whatever and mum and stuff like they can go through hardship, and you do find women that are a lot maturer. But on the whole, on a daily basis, the smaller things, men have to go through a far lot more. And that is why in the early stages, that male advantage really does kick in. And like I said, women are looking for a partner who will replace their dad, who will take them forward to the next stage of their life, that they can depend upon. And those guys, when they've been defined and they go through all these experiences and they are just at a higher level in terms of what I would define as life navigation, because that's such an important quality. Nobody ever talks about this. Everyone talks about being rich or in shape and whatever, and I'm guilty of this too, but nobody ever talks about life navigation. Just having somebody that knows how to get from A to B is such an important trait. Because very few people know how to deal with multiple scenarios and do it stress-free and do it on a, you know, on a mature, sophisticated level where it's just efficient. Like, that is such a sexy quality in either gender. You know, you see, even as a straight man, you see another man do that, and you're like, damn, that's some high quality, you know, execution right there. That's fantastic. And that's what just puts you in that male advantage seat where you are that, like I said, that head of the family, the alpha male as such, if you want to call it that, or the outlier male. You know, it just puts you at that top seat and just says, look, I am the mature individual here that's going to take us forward, push us forward, like the leader of the tribe used to back in the day. I think that rite of passage that men go through, I think it places them right there. And that's what makes women get to a certain age and look at men and be like, I need to have him. I need to have him in my life. And they search for different traits and qualities. Because as a woman she hits her peak and then she starts to decline, she starts to recognize these traits a lot more. And this is something that I've noticed a lot in the last 4 or 5 years, is that women who are like over 40, okay, women that are like in their 40s, 50s, whatever, 60s, I get on with so well. Because they've, let's say a 28-year-old man and a 52-year-old woman have got so much in common you wouldn't believe. You know, both have experienced what it's like to not be at their best. And that's what I like. These women have had all their beauty when they're younger, whatever. And I'm not saying go and get with a 52-year-old woman, you know what I mean? But I'm saying in terms of having a conversation and getting on with them and having a relatable experience, it's unrivaled. So there's multiple women that are like in their 50s that I have a chat with, and they get it. They understand the game. Like, if you could put that personality into their younger body, straight 10. Would navigate life, would kill it, probably be beautiful millionaires at like 25 years old. It's the same with the man. If you could put the 35-year-old brain into his 18-year-old body, he'd kill it. He'd kill the game. But you can see it with women. Like, they don't mature like men have until they lose their sex appeal. They lose that unbelievable power that they were blessed with at 18. And they get to like 35, 40, it starts to drop off. And you can really see the difference. Like, they really start to mature and look for other qualities and other traits. And, you know, they start to define themselves on more than just, I've done my makeup, put a tight dress on, you should owe me something. Like, I was talking to my mum about this the other day, because obviously we're talking about dad. And she said when they didn't meet as such, but he used to drive past really fast in the morning on his motorbike. And she said, I was 18 back then. She said, so I wouldn't even look at him. I could hear him coming. She said, I'd like look away. And she was like, that's because I was like arrogant when I was like 18. I thought my shit didn't stink. Whereas now, like, obviously a completely different person. You know, she'll talk to anybody and whatever. And you just think the difference there, and I know that's general maturity, but the difference there really displays the difference between men and women. Because an 18-year-old guy would show you the time of day. They would talk to you. They might be a little bit cocky, but they would talk to you. You know, they're a little bit more humbled because they've been smacked in the face, like literally as well. Like I'm talking about smacked in the face by life, and they've probably been punched. You know, there's something about getting punched in the face as a man, or getting beaten up and waking up and being like, oh, fuck. Maybe I'm not the superhero I thought I was. Maybe I need to stop living in fairy tale land. Whereas a lot of these women watching Disney films and princess films and whatever and believing that life's all sunshine and rainbows. And then, you know, fast forward 10, 15, 20 years, she's been through a divorce, couple of childbirths, and she realizes what real pain is, or she realizes like how hard that was, or, you know, now I have to take care of this kid. I'm not the most important thing in the world, and I don't look like I used to. I just gained 20 pounds. They become a little bit more defined, but men get that experience from like 18 to 30. And that is why when you reach that male advantage, that peak when we're in our 30s to like 50s, that is why we take over and men, so to speak, rule the world. Now, there's other reasons too, but that is why men, because men get that head start. Men get that head start. They start to understand what really matters in life early on. So instead of being like, oh, I've got a nice outfit on, I look hot, it's a hot girl summer, you know, I feel good, life is good, skin's good, hair's good, what more do I need? Butt's looking bigger. Men don't do that. Men will be like, bank account's fucking dry, I'm in my overdraft, I feel like shit, you know, I can't afford a new pair of shoes and I look like a bum. I need to do something about this. And what they go out there and do is concrete. It's a foundation for life. It's something they can build upon then moving forward. And that's the difference. That is why we get to a stage where we hold all the power. We hold that advantage. Women are chasing us. They're looking up at us and thinking, he is somebody I could build with. I'm impressed. I've learned something from him. He's very calm under pressure. I find that attractive. That doesn't happen by accident. That doesn't happen by accident. Like, I pray that none of my friends ever have to go through what I've been through in my life. But when they do, they will change. They will be completely different people. You know, when you go through, like, I know friends that had, like, their dogs are still alive. Their dogs are like 22 years old, still kicking on. And you think to yourself, as happy as I am that's happened, because I know all my friends go through shit, when bad stuff starts to happen, it does mature you. It makes you grow up fast. It turns you into a better person. As long as you can come out the other side, you know, it makes you stronger. You're able to deal with things a lot easier, you know, and you stand up. You either hide or you stand up. And if you do stand up, then obviously you evolve. You get to a higher level. And usually men are going through more of these experiences on a daily basis because we're not given that ultimate social value power of 18 years old, hot as fuck, anything you ever want, marry a millionaire, life's easy. You know, but that same girl then gets to 38, that guy leaves for a younger woman, she gets divorced, has to now go and get a second job to fend for herself. And in reality, she doesn't look as great as she used to, but she's actually a nicer person. She's more mature, she's kinder to be around, she's more empathetic, she looks after other people, starts giving money to charity. That shit kind of happens. And that happens for a man from like the age of 18. Like you said, you get beat up a couple times, you get punched in the face, you go bankrupt 4 or 5 times in a row, you try and start a business and fuck up, take a couple loans, have to pay them off. We kind of go through this shit a lot more. You know, you get rejected by 20 different women, get laughed at by all the guys. Like, women aren't going through that. They're just giving guys dirty looks like, oh my God, how are you coming towards me? Like, I'm the hottest girl in this club. I'm so much better than you. In 10, 15 years' time, she's grateful for that guy coming over. And she's like, well, I'm going to have a chat. I'm actually going to talk to him and get to know him. He's not the best looking, but I'm looking for other qualities outside of that because I know I'm not in my prime anymore. Men go through that sooner. And that is why we hit that male advantage from like 27, 28, from my experience, until like 50. Because we're just in that gap where we've got, you know, we come into our own, you know, we build up that bigger frame, we get rid of like a spotty, awkward face, we become more confident in ourselves, we grow our assets, etc. We go through all these experiences, we come out the other side as what you would define as a real man. We have our rites of passage. And it gives us a huge, huge advantage that we get first mover advantage. You know, where women are kind of living a fairy tale life, and it's not their fault. They're living that fairy tale life where everything's daisy, you know, they're beautiful and everything's great. And we're going through this torment so that by the time we both get to like 30 years old and women are on the decline and they have to learn all these lessons now, whereas men already have that and they're going into their peak. That is why the male advantage is so special. If you want to grab our men's lifestyle supplement and male advantage ebook, all links are in the bio.